Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Young Turks. We're coming to you from Davos. I'm Shireen Bhan and I've got with me a very interesting set of Indian startup founders who are here to talk to me about the mood that they're picking up on in Davos, but more importantly, what business looks like back home and what the aspiration is for 2023 and beyond. Let me introduce my panelists to you. Right in front of me, Bhavin Pandya, the co-founder and co-CEO of Games24x7, Sowmya Balendiran, the co-founder of Sea6 Energy, and of course Abhay Deshpande, the founder and CEO of Recykal. Thank you very much, gentlemen and Sowmya, for joining us. And of course, they've all been on Young Turks previously, so it's great to have you in a different setting here in Davos. Bhavin, let me start by asking you, what's the mood that you're picking up on here? Everyone's talking about how high inflation and high interest rates have made things much harder in terms of being able to access capital. And that is going to be a serious challenge going forward. The Indian startup ecosystem has also gotten used to big checks being written very easily. What's the difference that you're picking up on?
So thank you, first of all, for having me on the show. The biggest thing I'm seeing is the size of the Indian delegation. We are everywhere.
We are everywhere.
And that has just been phenomenal. Not just that, I must add, and this is kudos to us and to us as a culture, as a people, the kind of hospitality that the Indian lounges have. We have sustainability, we have inclusivity, we have the India lounge itself. It's been phenomenal. It's just been amazing. You go to some of the other lounges and, you know, the lesser said the better. But yeah, the mood is one which is very optimistic, very bright. India is a bright spot. That's a term that's being used everywhere in Davos right now. So very pleased to be here and be from India, which is where the largest delegation is from.
Absolutely, Sowmya. So yes, India has completely taken over the promenade. Wherever you go, you will see an India pavilion.
It's gone to a point where, you know, people are like, the food in this lounge is amazing. That's the level of hospitality he's talking about. But apart from that, I think the mood, though there's going to be a lot of inflation, recession, that's a big talk in this. I'm also seeing a huge spotlight, including, you know, the addresses by the European leaders, everybody on the pledge about sustainability and towards net zero. I think it's also a big topic today that people are realizing that we do not have any more time to waste. And we all have to start right now in addressing our whole ambitions of getting to net zero, reducing emissions, and making sure we have a planet to live in. So I think that is a very strong thread I've been seeing across the conversations with some of the people who've been taking.
No, you're absolutely right in pointing out, and let me get Abhay to comment on that as well, because what's interesting here is last year, for instance, a lot of the conversation was dominated by the pandemic and COVID and the healthcare response and the kind of investments that healthcare would need. And there is some degree of disappointment, at least from the healthcare space, that conversation has taken a backseat this year. But the good news is that sustainability continues to be high up on the agenda. Abhay, you know, on the back of the conversations that you're having today, what's the direction that you're picking up on? I mean, in terms of focus, bandwidth, investment?
So I think last 4 days we haven't felt that we're missing Hyderabad at all. Because what we
Hyderabad is here.
What we're discussing in office, like circular economy, sustainability, that's our core business. Go to every corner, people are talking about it. Half of the sessions, 70% of the sessions are about circular economy and sustainability. So we're not missing home at all. I think we're feeling like this is our home. While this is my first time I'm coming to Davos, I was not aware that this climate and this is so much of buzzword here. And we made a decision that we will have a big launch next year here because this is a perfect place for us to be here.
Okay.
Because we see that most of the companies are talking about ESG. You go to any pavilion, xyz.com/ESG, abc.com/sustainability. And for us, it's a core business.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it makes
24
sense
hours,
for you.
we only do that business. So we said there's no better place for us than be in Davos. If the event continues for whole year, we don't mind it.
No, but what has it meant in terms of the conversations that you're having and the kind of interest that people also have for India to be able to partner, collaborate, invest and take this forward?
So I think, I know though there is the overall investment situation across the ecosystem is not great, but particularly from the sustainability perspective, what we have observed, even in the last 6 months, we have been in conversation. A lot of people are approaching. Fortunately, we raised money at the right time in January, so we're not not raising money now, but there is a huge interest. Many of the private equity guys have raised billions of dollars under net zero.
Yeah.
Every private equity guy has a new fund of $1 billion with net zero fund, called as a net zero fund.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not many players are available. But sustainability is still evolving, right? Still people are figuring out what exactly sustainability means. So I think, but we're definitely seeing a great interest, great focus towards the climatic and circularity, in turn sustainability.
Yes, that clearly is a focus area. Bhavin, I don't know if you're going to be setting up any lounges here or not for gaming or otherwise. But, you know, I want to talk to you about the big development that's taken place back home, in which is public consultation on the governing rules that should dictate what you can or cannot do as far as the gaming industry is concerned. In a way, it's positive because hopefully we're getting to an end as far as the uncertainty is concerned, or what kind of regulation there will be. What do you have to make of it?
It's very, very good, actually. It's very positive that this is happening, because what this does is, and like you rightly mentioned, it gives people clarity, right? And once you have clarity, you have certainty. Once you have certainty, you can pass that on to investors. So more investments will come into India. You'll have more entrepreneurs, right? Until now, the whole discussion was around games of skill, games of chance, but you won't have that discussion anymore, because with clarity on what can happen and what cannot happen, you'll have budding entrepreneurs coming up with different business models. And that's where I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a huge boon. And just to add to what our panelists here said, that I do feel that right now India is the place where everyone is looking at to invest, because just think about it. Strong and stable macroeconomic conditions, great political conditions. You're in a place where the government is really supporting the ease with which startups can come about, do business. Even in more traditional sectors like manufacturing, they have schemes that they're putting out, like PLIs, the production incentives that they're laying out. And they are demographic. It's just amazing. It's young. It's responding really well to this, right? And so
they have a mobile phone, and that's great news for you.
That's right. And so overall, I think you know, the news obviously is positive, but that's on the back of the government doing everything in various sectors. And for us in the gaming industry, this is immensely positive, because that clarity just opens up you know, the doors for everyone to do what they want to.
Well, not exactly whatever you want to, but there'll be guardrails now on what you can or cannot do.
Yes.
But Sowmya, I want to, you know, to Abhay's point, a lot of interest on the issue of sustainability. Now, link that back to what that means as far as your business plan is concerned.
So I think when we talk about what Sea6 does, right? So we are actually one of the few companies globally focusing on seaweed cultivation at a very large scale. Ocean agriculture is what we call it. And now, you know, seaweed is a very, very well-known and well-understood word on how it can help in transitioning out of the fossil fuels. So there are products which we can make, like biostimulants, bioplastic replacements. Single-use plastics can be replaced, and that can be made from seaweeds, and bioenergy itself. And now we're no longer at a stage where these are all basic concepts. We've come to a point where many of them have been proven to a large extent. And now it's really about scaling it. And when we talk about scale, it's two things which comes to mind, right? One is, like what he was mentioning, it's about the regulations and the policies. So currently we operate in India and Indonesia. So India, our Prime Minister himself has mentioned seaweed could be a huge source of livelihood for many of the coastal communities. And we are one of the countries which have close to 7,200 kilometers of sea line. So using that to cultivate this and actually make ourselves energy independent could be a huge thing. So that is something that Sea6 is really passionate about. We also work with other island governments like Indonesia, Philippines, which is also possibilities of, you know, taking this and actually addressing the challenges of bioplastics and bioenergy. So that's what we're really focusing on. And the conversations about this has always been on how quickly can we scale? It's no longer a conversation about what are you guys trying to do? I haven't heard this word before, which used to be the context a few years back. But now it's all about, tell us how we can help you. And I think that's a fantastic move.
It's not even that complicated, but when we started CNBC 23 years ago, that's exactly what we were asked as well. Like, what does it do? You know, so I get what you're saying, but nothing as close, as complex as what you're doing. But Abhay, you know, to the point that was being made there by Sowmya, in terms of scale, and I think that's an opportunity as well as a challenge. And India is being able to, through some of the work that the startups are doing, demonstrate that you can provide solutions at scale. But for businesses like yours, like Sowmya's, that are working in the circular economy, that are working in spaces that don't necessarily have an ecosystem built around them within the country at this point in time, how challenging is it to scale?
So the business which we are into is in waste management. And as she said, people used to ask us what you do. 6 years back, we used to say we are a digital kabadiwala, right? That was the only answer we could give. But those days, the circular economy, sustainability were not the buzzwords. It has been like last 2 years post-pandemic, it has really come in the stream. So in terms of our business currently, what we do, India is a big, big market, and I think it's ocean. And what we have done till date, we almost channelize around 60,000 metric tons per month. 700,000 metric tons this year will be channelizing to a right destination, not going to a landfill or ocean particularly. So, and we are not even touching the surface yet. The scale is so much because India has 1.3 billion people. We generate so much of waste. It is so fragmented, cash-driven. More fragmented, more cash-driven is a bigger opportunity for us to formalize it. Even we feel that even if we do a couple of $1 billion of turnover, it will be just 2-3% of the Indian market. So the scale is definitely there. Thanks to the mobile adoption, like what Games24x7 also got benefited. Also, we also got even the rat picker, which like at bottom of the pyramid. 55 to 60% rat pickers have smartphones. We have thousands of rat pickers using our app and selling the material and getting money through using Jio for 299 rupees per month. So I think that scale in this business and particularly from the waste management to the sustainability aspect, I think the corporates have moved towards it. Definitely people are looking towards it seriously. It was a board discussion till 1 year back, but now it has gone beyond the board. Definitely the metrics are tracked. We have been working with multiple corporates as a sustainability partners who help them in bringing circularity into their material flow. And we see a great scale, and India itself, I don't see now, we really we have to look at the world for scaling your business. India itself is a large opportunity in this space.
Speaking of scale and opportunity, I mean, you know, you've got like a huge addressable market and large parts of it continues to be untapped.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, on a lighter note, I wanted to share that for a change, it feels good to be ahead on the whole gaming ecosystem, what it is, where it is, because there are other ecosystems that are developing, you know, slightly behind gaming. So I think to answer your question, you know, we, for the most part, as Games24x7, we do Rummy Circle, we do My 11 Circle, we do U Games for the international markets. And as you said, there is untapped potential. Rummy used to be a game that was predominantly played in the South, but now it's played everywhere. And the goal is to just sort of continue proliferating the game throughout India. My 11 Circle, we have a huge opportunity, had a great IPL, had a great World Cup, and we'll just sort of go from strength to strength on that one. And with U Games, we're actually building games in India for the world, for the Western European and American markets, right? And what we're doing is we're bringing expertise from there, training our folks in India, and then building really world-class content over there. And all of this has been possible because of what we call the science of gaming, where we think that awesome game-playing experiences are really at the intersection of entertainment and science. Like, you have to be very scientific about what you do, right? You have to, you know, through the clicks and taps of your players, analyze everything that they're doing and use that information then to better engage them. And that's something that we've done fairly well and continue to do. We've never prescribed to this philosophy of grow at any cost, that let's just grab market share, right? We've really focused on profitability. The new word now is sustainability, but we've been doing that for a very long time. Since actually 2011, we've been profitable. So for us, it's great to now see that there are a lot of things that we were doing, we're being vindicated on as the right things to do. And you know, the market, like you said, is very large, and we look forward to addressing that.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. The focus now is squarely on getting to profitability.
Yes.
The question, though, is when and how, but that's a different story altogether. But, you know, I want to understand from you, what's the mix in terms of international and domestic for you at this point in time, and how do you see that evolving going forward?
Oh, absolutely. So right now, we're serving only the Indian market because especially with fantasy sports and Rummy, which is Rummy Circle and My 11 Circle, only focused on the Indian markets. We are looking at international very seriously. Through U Games, we're building casual games because they have more appeal in the West, and we believe that there is a lot of potential that will be untapped here. One of the games that we're going to release very soon, we have very high hopes from, because, you know, the way we release games, we make sure that that they do well as we test them, and then we release them to a wider audience, and a couple of games are making it there. So we'll release a game, and we're expecting that our international
give us a sneak peek of what this game is about.
So yes, it's a casual game where you know, which you can download on from the Play Store and then play. And it's for a middle-aged woman demographic in North America. And so I'll leave it at that for now. Keep the suspense, but we expect our international audience to grow significantly compared to where it is today.
Okay, so we'll have to check in with the middle-aged North American women as and when you launch. But Sowmya, you know, what's on the anvil in terms of next milestones, growth and growth plans for 2023?
Yeah. So what we've done over the years is we first kind of demonstrate, to kind of add to what he said, we're probably one of the first Indian companies to actually make a patented product for agriculture, which helps in increasing the yield of the plants. And we sell it in countries like US, Europe, and Japan. It used to always be reverse, right? We used to get products from outside countries, which needs here to be sold and help our farmers. But for the first time, I think we have an Indian company doing it, and we're selling in multiple countries already, this particular product.
So patented in India for the world.
Patented globally, produced and made from India. So that's the whole thing. And that's something that we're very proud of. In the next 18 to 24 months, I think we're squarely going to be focusing on biomaterials, which is basically replacements for plastic products. Single-use plastic is a whole range of applications which actually doesn't have to be plastics. And I think we're going to need all the solutions. We're going to be recycling, we're going to be needing other kinds of biomass-based solutions, and I think seaweed has a big role in that. So we are quite strongly focusing on that. And there again, there's a lot of interest, not just from India, but also globally on how people are really looking to transition out of the plastic economy and into more sustainable solutions. So that's a very big part. And of course, the larger aim for C6 has always been about trying to bring an alternative option for fuels itself. So biofuels is pretty close to our heart. We started with that 12 years ago. I think that's still about 3 to 5 years away, but the focus is still up there, and we'll keep moving on that.
Abhay?
So I think, as you're aware, India has taken over the G20 presidency. Yes. And one of the major focus area in that is circularity. And I think everyone, top to bottom, is trying to really bring in policies and work on those areas. As far as our business is concerned, one thing we realized during pandemic is that waste management is a recession and pandemic-free business, because waste will never stop. That is, you're at home, you're outside, waste will keep generated. So
that makes the two of you, both of you are recession-proof in a sense. Completely different ends of the spectrum.
Definitely to some sense. And so we have been growing 3x, 4x during pandemic. We're growing 5x this year, in the financial year. We will try to continue the same journey in 2023. Apart from that, we are actually, as I said, the whole sustainability is nothing but a behavioral change. And sustainability is a behavior, and we need to bring that behavioral change. And we're building some products, and we have bought some products in the market. Like one of the innovation which we did recently was in Kedarnath. We launched a deposit return system. While the Honorable Prime Minister in May came in, Man Ki Baat spoke about that there is a littering happening in Kedarnath, and there was a lot of bad situation there. We went there, we implemented our deposit return system from the base camp to the temple, almost 20 kilometers, all our team, 10-15 guys there, and we put a very difficult terrain to work. And we saw the collection of, we almost collected 130,000 bottles from there. And this was almost zero before that. Because there was a deposit of 10 rupees. If you buy a bottle, you have to pay a deposit of 10 rupees. You return a bottle, you get 10 rupees. Because that incentive was there and I was cautious about it, I stopped throwing, I stopped littering. So that behavioral change happened there. So we are looking for such implementation at the country level or a state level in the 2023. And that is going to really bring a lot of change in the behavior.
Well, you know, I really hope that takes off and that moves beyond Kedarnath to all of our cities and our towns, because it is much needed. Sowmya, you wanted to make a point.
I actually have a comment. You know, like you mentioned, in G20, India is leading the presidency, right? I was just coming out of a meeting called O20, which is Oceans 20, the G20 countries coming together.
There's all kinds of 20, B20, O20, G20, Empower 20.
So, but then what was really coming out of it is countries are starting to really look at oceans. Because 3/4 of the planet that we live is oceans, and we haven't even explored 1% of what it can do to help us. So I think the agenda there has been very strong, and India has also been really pushing. I mean, there's quite a bit of representation from India itself on how we see this moving forward in the G20 presidency, where we can push this agenda. And I think all of these things like recycling, seaweeds, conservation of oceans, all of them are taking a big place. And I really see quite a bright future moving forward this way, because I used to be somebody who always complains about, oh my God, we're not doing anything about it. If we continue this way, it's not going to work. But now I think it's all the more getting clearer and clearer. People are really realizing the need for it. And I think with this collective effort, it probably is going to come to us sooner than expected.
Well, you know, more power to each one of you, and I certainly hope that people take these issues seriously and we move towards action and not just talk.
That's true.
But Bhavin, you know, I want to flip the sustainability, because you said that that's the buzzword now as far as the startup ecosystem is concerned. 2023, do you think it's going to continue to be a challenging year for startups, or do you think that a lot of the correction, the froth is out, and it's probably going to be a healthier year?
My personal view is going to be a much healthier year, actually. We're experiencing that. We're seeing that obviously in the industry that we're in the gaming industry. But I also feel that what had happened was that you know, this whole growth at any cost, a lot of investments coming into the country had for a while sidetracked us from focusing on sustainability and profitability. And I think the last year has been a reality check for a lot of companies. And in my view, a lot of that correction has happened. And 23 will not be as easy a year as, say, 2020 was or 2019 were. But I do think that towards the end of 2023, sanity would have sort of been restored, and we'll be back on creating real value instead of valuation in this space.
Well, that has always been the tagline of Young Turks. We focus on ideas and companies that create value, not on valuation. Bhavin, Sowmya and Abhay, thanks very much for joining us here on this very special edition of Young Turks in Davos. We wish each one of you the very best of luck. We are going to say goodbye to you on this special edition of Young Turks, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with you with more conversation on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned.
Co-presented by Bank of Baroda.